Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today we'll be making card number 1 in my Rooted in Nature Class B online class. The Rooted in Nature class kits A and B will be available through August 31st, 2018. And you can get the details on how you can get your own class kit to participate on my website www.carolbcrafts.com. Now there are 4 different designs of cards in each of the kits, and all of the cards are centered around the Rooted in Nature stamps. This is the stamp set that we're using in the class, so you'll need this stamp set to participate, and you'll need the Nature's Roots framelits. So it's best to get the Rooted in Nature bundle so that you can get 10% discount on them. I'll put the number on the screen so that you can head on over to Stampin' Up! And get your set, your Rooted in Nature bundle, but be sure to use that host code from my website, because with a $35 minimum purchase, you can get the kits to make all 4 cards absolutely free if you use that host code on my website. Now the ink that we'll be using for this card will be Tranquil Tide, and you will need to get your stamp positioner. I'll be using the Stamparatus. So let's take a look at what's inside our kit. And this is how the kits come. Everything's cut and pre-scored for you except for the things that you'll cut with the dies that come with the bundle. Now I'll give the dimensions as I go along so that if you don't have the kit, you might be able to replicate this at home. But hopefully you'll take the class and get the kit for yourself. So we have a basic thick Whisper White card base with scored it in the middle, 4 1/4. And we have a thick Whisper White envelope. Inside the envelope we'll have some little goodies. We'll put this away for we don't need it right now till we're ready to send our card off. So we have some little die cuts that I have cut for you. That these are not from the Rooted in Nature dies. I'll show you where they came from though. These little 4 little dice that are cut in crumb cake came from the Foliage Framelits dies, and you can see these little dice right here are where they came from. I have 2 of the green, I'm not sure what green that is, from the Share What You Love Artisan Pearls. So I have 2 of those little green ones. I have a piece of the crumb cake twine, and it is 8 inches long, and this crumb cake twine comes from, it's missing the crumb cake roll here, but this comes from the Nature's Twine collection. Here's the crumb cake. We have a little piece of the Tranquil Tide mini ruffled ribbon, and that piece is about 4 1/4 inches. Then I've cut off and did a little the chevron type where you cut in the center and side to side. So you have that. So it ends up being about 4 inches once I've cut it off and trimmed it. And then we have a piece of the polka dot. This is the Very Vanilla Polka Dot Tulle ribbon, and that piece is also 4 inches long, but it was a little longer when it started out because I did cut the little V in it, as you can see. So that's where that came from. We have one of those little pearlized doilies that are new, and then we have some vellum that is cut with the scalloped circle from our Layering Circles framelits. And it looks like it is the 2nd largest. And then we have a piece of crumb cake circle, and it is cut, it looks like, with the 2nd largest as well. So that's where those came from. Okay, I'm going to correct myself. The scalloped vellum is the largest scallop circle, And then the crumb cake, I was right to say it is the second largest circle die. So the largest scallop circle die and the second largest circle die in the layering circle framelits. So there are a lot of little pieces to this, but it goes together relatively easy. I have two, you only need one, but I give you two pieces of crumb cake that are 3/8 inch wide and 3.5 inches long once you cut the little V's in. Now your V's will come in already cut. And our DSP from our Nature's Poem is 2 inches by 5, 2 by 5. For inside sentiment, we have a piece of Tranquil Tide that is 4 1/4 by 3.5. And then the inside, I give you two, you only need one, of Whisper White, 4 by 3 1/4. So that's for the inside. Then for the front of our card, we have a piece of crumb cake, which is 5 1/4 by 4. Let me check that just to make sure. Actually, it's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Okay, so this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. I'm not sure. I should have written that on the back, and that's going to go on the front of our card. So let's go ahead and fold our Whisper White card base, and we'll crease that fold like this. And then next we're going to go ahead and work on decorating the front of our card. And we'll start with now this, I forgot to tell you that this panel, this Tranquil Tide panel, is also embossed with the subtle embossing folder with the design going vertical like that. So this is going to be like what we're going to work with. First of all, we're going to go ahead and, well, let's do our stamping first. So we'll need, this is a 2.5 by 5.5. We're going to stamp our trees on that, and then we're going to put our sentiment on the inside with these here. And remember, it's going to be vertical since it's a vertical card and not a landscape card. So let's get your stamp positioner, whether it's a Stamparatus or whatever you're going to use. We'll push these up to the side. We won't be needing those right now. So this is the Stamparatus, and I just want to make one note. I have found that it works better for me if I have a little lift here, because there's problems with the hinge being a little higher than, so if you can see, sometimes you won't get a good image if you don't give it a little lift. Now I have made this little handy dandy lift for myself. It's made of chipboard and magnetic adhesive, and then I've laminated a piece of grid paper, and that is something that I give to my customers that purchase the Stamparatus from me. I automatically will send them one of these as a thank you gift for using me as their demonstrator. But if you don't have that, I have found that this little thin adapter works just as well if you want to just put that down. It's about the same width as what I'm using, so you can use it this way or you can use it this way. Just make sure it's in the corner, but that's the thin adapter for your Big Shot. Or if you have a piece of thick chipboard at home, it doesn't have to have the fancy magnetics and laminate on it. It just needs something to lift it up a little bit off of the base. So I'm also going to be using a 4x6 sheet of the clear, I forget I always forget the name of this, but I'll put it on the screen. It's the clear plastic that window sheet, that's what it is. And we want to make sure that's in the corner. So we want to make sure everything's in the corner here. And I always bend the corner up so that it's easy for me to lift. Now this is going to work kind of like the Stampin' Jig that we no longer carry. When we got the Stamparatus, they no longer carried the Stamp-A-Majig, but it's going to work just like the Stamp-A-Majig, in that we'll put an impression on our plastic, put our plastic down, slide our paper under the plastic and position it, and then remove the plastic and then stamp our image. Okay, so first of all we need to stamp our image, and we're going to do trees first. So let's go ahead and get our 3 trees, the 2 that are together and the 1 that's single. We'll stamp these and then we'll die cut them, and we're going to cut them on our Big Shot. Now hopefully you can get 2 sets here. Let me see. If not, if you need to, you can use some extra if you have a mess up. I don't know if I gave you 2 pieces of the Whisper White, but that's probably something you have on hand. So if you make a mess up, you can just use the Whisper White that you have at home. So we'll first put this on a piece of paper, just scrap paper that you have around your. I'm using a piece of scrap grid paper. And we'll put some adhesive on the back of our paper. This is to hold it in place, and it also allows us to slide it in and out underneath here when we make our image. So we'll go ahead and put some magnets on our. Now you can use these, or you can use the bars that come with it, whichever you feel comfortable using. I may use my bar here just because. I can use my bar with the. I find I can use my bar with the clear mount, but the bar, I don't do so well with the bar and my photopolymer stamps. So let's go ahead and make our first image. Once we've lined those up side by side, we want to get them, we know we're going to have to die cut them, so we don't want them too close together. Okay, and then we're going to ink that up. Let me go ahead and put these where they don't get in the way. Ink that up with some Tranquil Tide, and I'm going to have to brush this off because I have some stuff on it, little pieces of something on there, fuzz or something, and I don't want that to mess up my image. Okay, so I'll get my Tranquil Tide out. Oh, and another thing is I like to put my stamp case underneath there to give it a little, to make it even. It makes it a little easier to ink it up. Okay, so I'm going to ink up my stamps, and the good thing about the Stamparatus, or another stamp positioner like this if you have one, is you know that you can, your images, and these have really fine, so you have to really get down in there to make sure you get all of that background stamping inked up too. But with the Stamparatus you can, now I guess it doesn't really matter so much on this because this is just a image of where we're going to place our stamps, but we'll go ahead and put that in place, and now we're going to remove the plastic, but we're going to keep that in place and ink up our images. And stamp down. Push only behind the stamp. And I like to get a nice deep rich image, so I'm going to ink it up again. And I'm even going to go for one more time. Now the little tree that's by itself, it seems to be doing pretty pretty good, so I'm not going to ink it up a third time, just the double ones. Okay, now those are all ready to go ahead and die cut, so we'll put those aside. And these I'm just going to take and I'm just going to kind of twist it off rather than pull. Okay, so we have that ready, and now we're going to clean off our image. I'm just going to use a baby wipe to wipe that off. And then I'm going to dry my plastic with one of these microfiber cloths that you get with your glasses when you purchase glasses, or you can buy them separately, I think, too, if you want. Just to make sure it's good and dry so that when I stamp my next image, it will be nice and dry. So I'm going to put that back in the corner, making sure everything's in the corner. And this bar is good to keep things in the corner, so I do like to use it for that. So the next thing we're going to do is the words are never enough. And that's going to go on our little pieces of crumb cake, and the flag part will be on the right side when we stamp. Now we'll get that stamp and we'll go ahead and get the inside sentiment. Words are never enough to thank you for all you do. So we have those. So words are never enough. We'll go ahead and get that one in place. Make sure I've got the words on the right side. Now let me remove these. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and pick that up and do just like we did before. We're going to put these on a piece of paper, scratch paper with some adhesive. We'll do one at a time. We may only need to do one unless we have a little goof up. Now remember, the flag's on the right, and we're going to use that to slip it under. So we'll put this one aside, and if we don't need that one, we'll ink up our stamp with our Tranquil Tide. And I found with these, you don't have to go heavy-handed on these sentiments, these long worded sentiments. So words are never enough. Now, well, let's see. Now I want this one on the left side. Sorry, I told you wrong. So let's take that off and put it here on the left. There. Now our little flag is on the left of us. Alright, so we're going to slide this under and line it up with words are never enough. And enough, we want it to be a ½ inch in where it ends, the H ends a ½ inch from the edge of the cardstock. Words are never enough. We also want to leave room for those two little pearls here too, so just make sure you do that. And once you've got it where you want it, whoops, I think I might have moved it. Let's see. Get it in the corner. I need one more of these little handy dandy things to hold it in place. Okay, now I can lift it up and ink up my image and put it down here. And I think this part is good, but the second half isn't that good, so I'm going to ink up the second half of it. There, that's good. Words are never enough. Okay, now we have our to thank you for all you do, which is going to be on the inside. So for that, we don't need to use, because we can slide this in and out, we don't need to use, we don't need to adhere it to a piece of paper. So we have our plastic in the corner. I'll go ahead and put my bar in place to hold it down. And then I have to thank you for all you do. I'm going to put it about 1/2 inch from the edge of the plastic. Pick up the stamp, ink up the stamp, make my image to kind of my template type image. Slide this under the plastic, line it up to where I like it, to where I think it looks good. And then I'm going to put my little magnets in place. And I think that looks good there. So remove my plastic, ink up my stamp, and just press down gently, not too hard. And I have my image for the inside. So we're done with our stamping. Okay, now that we're done with our stamping, we can bring in some of our other things. The first thing we want to do is build our card front. And so we'll get the piece of the Tranquil Tide, and our piece of DSP is going to go on top of it. And it's going to be a little more than 1/8 of an inch, but not 1/4 of an inch from the left edge. So we'll go ahead and put that on. Now we need to go ahead and build our little circle, and that's going to be done with, we have on the bottom is going to be the vellum, then the crumb cake, and then our silver the pearlized doily. I have to stop and think about what the name of that is. And we're just going to do that. We can put this on with some adhesive. We're going to put it in the center. And I'm just going to use my little piece of waxy strip from the mini glue dots to help me put that in the center. So that way I can move it around as needed. Now this we're just going to put on with some glue dots. So I'll get out my glue dots, and I'm guessing just, we're going to put them in the center. Be sure to put the glue dots on the white side. Just don't go past these little scallopy things here, otherwise your glue dots will show. And twist them off, don't pull them off, just twist them off. And put however many you think you need to keep it on. 4 or 5 I think would be good. Probably 5. Maybe 1 more. Maybe 6. Alright, so now it's ready to just go in the center. Like that. Now that's going to be covered up by our trees. So we need to die cut our trees. So let's get our die cuts out. We'll need the little tree and then the 2 trees together. And I found it's best to just, when I'm going to die cut small images like this, I use some Scotch Magic Tape. But you could use some washi tape if that's what you have, if you like to use washi tape. I just like to use the magic tape. Now regular tape may not work. It's that magic tape that works well. It has like a frosted appearance to it. So, and I'll just tuck that under. And then this one I'll do here. To To me, it's just less stressful if I tape them down. Some people don't tape them down, but they just put them on, but I have to tape them down. Alright, so I'm going to take this over to the Big Shot and run it through the Big Shot. So we have our little tree images. Now this tree is going to go behind these two trees and kind of in the middle like that. You want it to be higher than those two. So we're going to put this on with some glue dots. We'll put a glue dot there and a glue dot there. That way we know it's not going to show. And again, you're just going to twist away. You're not going to pull away. So see, we have a glue dot here and there. And then we're going to basically just put this behind it, kind of like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can adjust it a little bit if you want. Now this is going to go on top of here, and we're going to use mini dimensionals to put it on. So I have some mini dimensionals. So you can see where I have my dimensionals, and I've taken the back off of them. And now I'm going to put this on my, and I want to make sure I leave room for my little strip wherever it went to. So it's got sticky on the back, so I'm going to just turn it around for now. I want to be sure to leave room for that and put my trees level. So probably about right there. This tree is like right at the top where that second circle is. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to go ahead and put this on our panel, and let me measure how far. So this is 1 inch. The edge of the vellum is 1 inch from the bottom of this Tranquil Tide. So that kind of gives you an idea where you need to put it, and then it's going to be almost to the edge over here. We're going to put this on with some adhesive, and it doesn't have to be exact, it just gives you an idea. Just mostly want to make sure your trees are straight, but this is where the grid paper comes in handy to help you kind of sight where that 1 inch might be. And I'll move this over and up till I feel comfortable with it. And that looks about right there. Okay, so now before I put this on the crumb cake panel like this, I'm going to have to put the ribbon on. The first ribbon I'm going to put on is going to be the Tranquil Tide, and it's going to go just about under this tree here. So we'll put some adhesive on the back here where we know that is going to come around. Put our, and wrap it around there. And I think I'm just going to put a glue dot there to hold that ribbon in place. So roll off a glue dot, adhere it to your ribbon. Well, maybe not. Maybe we should adhere it to our paper because it doesn't want to adhere to the ribbon. Okay, so probably, yeah, about right there is where I want my glue dot. Just about right there. Okay, I just want to make sure that it's level, and I think I need to bring it down a little bit over here. If you need to adjust it, it's easier to adjust from the behind instead of from the front. Now it's still crooked. Okay, now it looks pretty well, pretty good. Now I'm going to do the same with the tool, the polka dot tool. I'll put a little bit of adhesive here over the Tranquil Tide too. Now the tool is going to go with the little V to the left, and it's going to be a little bit further past the Tranquil Tide on the left and just under the Tranquil Tide here at the top. Okay, and then we'll put a glue dot there to hold that down. I actually might put a couple of glue dots there. See, you might have to just force them to stay in place because they don't want to. That's too bad. They're going to have to. That's their job. Okay. And that will help to hold it. And those glue dots will be covered up by our banner. And our banner is going to be put on with 5 mini glue dots, and it's going to go across the front here. So not mini glue dots, mini dimensionals. I get those mixed up all the time. And then this is going to go up against the edge of the Tranquil Tide and right along even with the tool and across the top like that. And if it's a little crooked, you can always straighten it up. Okay, so now we're ready to put this on our card front here. Now that we have our ribbon on, we're not in our card front but our base, our crumb cake base. So we'll go ahead and do that. And now we can put it on top of our card base. We'll go ahead and put our sentiment in there. Okay, we just have a few more things to do. Our little leaves, and we're going to put one of them down here, and we'll tuck it underneath. So we can use this to lift it up, and we'll use glue dots to put these in place. So this one's going to go down here, and then these two will go, 3 actually, will go there. There, and so just put them where you think you're going to want them before you glue them down, so that you get an idea where you want them. You want to be sure to leave room for your bow here. Let's see, so yeah, it does matter which ones, they're not the same, so it does matter. So one of them, you can kind of tell, this one has the curves to the right, you want that one here. And then one that curves to the left, like this one curves to the left, you want it here. And then this one curves to the left, you want it here. And then there's one that curves to the right that you put down here. So let's get those where we think we want them. And you might hear the rain in the background. It's one of our afternoon rains here in Florida. We get them every afternoon. So these are going to go on with glue dots. So let's just go ahead and put a glue dot in the bottom leaf lift it off with your, or twist it off if you, and you're just going to lift that up. Actually, kind of need two of these, don't we? One to lift up our paper. I have to lift it up and then put it down in there. Okay, so this one is about 1/2 inch from the edge. The top of that leaf is about 1/2 inch from the edge, if that helps you. And then this one, we'll go ahead and put a glue dot behind this leaf. Looks like I'm running low on glue dots too. And we're just going to stick it behind there. Okay, and then this one is going to be kind of down. I'll put the glue dot on this, the bottom leaf again. Okay, bear with me, my camera died, so hopefully you got that in place with enough room for your bow, your little bow that's going to go there. And then we just need to put this last one in place. Again, put the glue dot behind the bottom leaf and lift it up. It's just kind of hard to work with all of this, but it's doable. Okay, so now I'm going to try to hold that up with my finger while I slide that underneath, and it goes quite far down there and over a little bit. This leaf should be about 1/4 inch from the edge. Okay, so now we have that, and it actually, to me, looks like this is up higher than this, so it looks a little different, but it's still gonna work. It's still gonna work. Maybe once we get our little bow there, it's going to look a little more balanced. Okay, so we have our bow left to do, and we're going to do that with, we're going to make a loop on the one side of it, and then we're just going to wrap it around the front and then around the back and through that little loop that we just made, and then pull it tight. Then we're going to pull the ends and tighten the loops, pull the ends and tighten the loops. It's a small bow, so we can get it down pretty small, and that looks good. That looks, it's a little, still a little big. I'll make those loops just a little bit smaller. I'm comparing it to the one next to it, and that looks, so that's going to be our bow. Now we're going to put that on with glue dots. So just take a glue dot and put it on the center behind that big knot and pinch, and then I'm going to do another one if I can get it to do the first one. Okay, that's one, and my very last one, thankfully I have one left. I'll pinch that off, and it's going to go right here just above the where the vellum is. Try to push it here and fluff up those. There we go. Now we'll take some scissors and leave about 1 inch of little end, a tail there. Okay, so that's our crumb cake twine, and now we're just going to get our piercing tool and put our green pearls right here next to the end, side by side, and there we go. Alright, now we are finished with our first card in the Rooted in Nature Class B online class. So if you would like to take my class or get your class kit for yourself, Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, and you too can have a kit of your own to make at home just by making a $35 purchase using the host code on my website. Thanks for watching. Bye now.